In the last episode, we saw how Jason helped Maria realize that she has needs that are not being met by Ryan. The theme of those needs was centered around what Maria perceives as total acceptance of who she is without any judgment, or permission to not be okay all the time. We also saw how Jason's role shifted from helping her make those discoveries about herself into actually fulfilling those needs and exploring a deeper relationship, which was illustrated by the non-sexual sub-agreement they made with one another, which can be seen as a rationalization for justifying infidelity behavior. In this episode, we will learn about the circumstances that facilitated the discovery of the true nature of the relationship between Maria and Jason. We will also see how that discovery was handled by Ryan. Let's take a look.
The catastrophic event in Idaho was, I told him that we were leaving Clark Fork. I know I told him. My service sucked up there. It was awful. I know I told him that we were leaving and that we stopped. Jason and I stopped, and this is actually a very important part of it because he feels like Jason wronged me. We stopped at the falls and we went for a hike, and it's an absolutely gorgeous place.
Okay.
It's amazing. And, you know, the whole weekend was kind of idyllic of I'm with somebody that I really enjoy being with. This is an amazing place. I really want, I could live here. I could do this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So we were standing on the edge of the river, and we took a couple pictures, and I was standing there, like, wondering to myself if this was the next step in my life, if this was, this is where I'm supposed to be, what's next, what's going to happen, because there was no resolution between Ryan and I. Like, every time I tried to get back to him, it would just...
Okay.
And so I stood there and I had that conversation with myself, and I said, if this is where I'm meant to be, then I need something. I need to sign, whatever. Something.
Yeah.
And Jason picked up his phone and he was like, "Well, let's take a picture. I want to take a picture of you and I here together." And we picked his phone up. He always has nicknames in his phone for his girlfriend, and when they were broke up, it was her name, and when they're not broke up, it's a nickname.
Okay.
And when he picked his phone up, there was a text message from her on his nickname, under her nickname. I'm like, awesome. So this entire weekend you've been lying to me, you two weren't broke up, and I thought that they'd been broke up. You two weren't broke up, you spent the entire weekend home and you two live 14 hours apart and you haven't went and seen her.
Okay.
Like, it crushed me. It was really bad.
Now let me ask you this, were you expecting exclusivity from him?
No, I didn't expect exclusivity, but he had lied to me about the fact that they were broke up. And it matters to me because, you know, I can come with you and, like, we're pretending to be friends and nothing more. Like, I can come with you and, like, this is a friend's trip, but as a friend's trip, why the hell didn't you go see your girlfriend? That's not okay. It's not okay for you to do that to her. It's not okay for you to be within 10 minutes of her and not even bother to go see her.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Why do you think he lied to you in the first place?
I don't know.
Speculate.
Honestly, I don't know why he would have felt the need to lie to me about it. I don't, because I knew about her.
Okay.
I knew that they had been together, but that weekend he told me that they broke up. Or they broke up before that. But I was under the impression that they broke up, and it matters to me because
Well,
I don't.
I know honesty is like a core part of your value, and that's consistent throughout the whole thing in terms of, you really expect people to be honest no matter what the cost is. So that part I
Yeah.
get, right? Has been consistent in terms of any interaction that you have with everybody. Even if it's going to make me look bad, I'm going to be honest anyway, right?
Right.
Now, the part about why would he lie to you about this, I can throw my speculation. You told me what sticks, right? It almost feels like, a motivation of lying to you about his relationship status is because somehow maybe he was thinking that you're expecting exclusivity of some kind.
Okay.
Because to me, like, then why would somebody, say, I'm not attached, unless knowing that if that knowledge is going to affect what's going to be between me and the other person that I'm interacting with.
Mhm.
That be
I understand the logic, but I don't think so.
okay? Then what do you think it is?
I don't think that he lied to me because he thought I was expecting the exclusivity. I think it was he just wanted that time with me, and he didn't want to have to share that time with her. I don't.
Okay. But
I'm speculating.
sure, but he could have if that was, and again, we're not going to know the only person who knows is him, right? So, but if it's an issue of I only just wanted this time with you, right? You're a reasonable person. You could have said, you know what, I'm still not broken up with this person. I would like to go on this trip with you. I don't want to spend any time with anybody else. And I think if you had a good reason, you would have been accepting and honoring that.
I probably still would have been like, no, you can go see her because you live 14 hours apart. You get to spend 10 days a year together. Maybe you can take the time to go see her. I'll be fine. Bye.
Let me ask you this: if you knew that he was attached with somebody else, would that influence whether or not you're going to be interacting him that way? Would you feel like I'm infringing on somebody else's right because, if he's with somebody and that person expecting him to be exclusive, would that put you in that position of, well, I don't want to be causing problem between them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it ironic that I can feel that way?
Well, to me, there's so many things in life that seem like they don't coexist, but yet here we are. And yeah. So contradiction does exist.
Yeah. And so that, like, her name being on his phone, and like, that sucked because I realized that I was the monster in that situation. That you chose to be here with me and spend all this time with me and not spend the time with her that you should be able to spend with her. Like, I wouldn't have cared. I understand. We fought. We fought about it. We crossed the bridge and I was pissed. I was hurt. And he grabbed me and he goes, "Baby, what's wrong?" And I turned around and looked at him like, "What am I to you? Is this some fucking game that you could make me fall in love with you, that you could get all of this just so you can lie to me about shit? What was this? What was this all about?"
Well, what did you think that you were to him?
Conquest.
Okay. No, before finding out that he was lying to you, right? Because when I tell somebody, what do you think this is because they're behaving with me in a way that contradicts what I think our relationship is, right?
Yeah.
So what did you think the two of you have had, right? And how did the discovery of him lying to you change that perception?
Honesty.
Okay.
Above everything else, we were always honest with each other. It was always, I don't care how bad this is going to suck for me to tell you, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't care,
So that's the part that changed, right?
Yeah.
That core thing that you always have wanted from people in your life is the honesty, regardless of what the cost is, right?
Yeah.
What was the label that you would have put in terms of what the two of you have had prior to this events of changing or challenging the honesty and the need for it on his part?
The relationship. But honesty is the better word for me to describe it. I guess I don't know exactly what you're looking for. But
like when you say, what am I to you, right? What were you to him?
I thought it was more important than that to be lied to about something important like that.
Okay. Because you hold a specific spot or place in his life. What is that spot? We cannot say just a friend at that point in time, right?
His submissive, I don't know, his girl, I guess, I don't.
Okay, but you see why that distinction is important from my vantage point, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at him, what are you worried about?
He's twitching.
Okay. You okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
Right.
It's hard.
So, the closest so far we're getting to that label, his girl, his submissive.
His partner. Like, we
There
were
you go.
partners at
There you
that
go.
point.
There you go. I think that's probably the most accurate label that would include all these other things to it. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And his interaction with you about being dishonest challenged that foundation of what I think we have because I thought I'm your partner, right? And you don't do that to your partner, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to question what
Yep.
she says on this.
Go ahead.
For a letter that I found from Jason to her, she
Yeah.
called him,
Well, after the fact.
yeah, well, just recently, not too long ago, she called him, or he called her his husband, or her husband, her lover,
That's how he
her.
sees himself in my life. Yes.
And I have to question how she saw herself at that time from a paragraph that,
Do you want to tell him how you found that?
I was curious. I was
Okay.
curious to see what was happening with her. So I went looking.
Okay. So the context of discovery is important, but I want to make sure that that part is, we're not missing the part of, is there a question for her during this? How
No,
do you
I
see
want to know
yourself?
if she's telling the honest truth on
Okay.
what she thought of herself at the river at that time.
Okay. At the time that I'm
She seemed-
inquiring, at
Yes,
the time
at
I'm
that
inquiring
time,
about.
because it seems like she's running around in circles with herself
I-
on what she should do.
So I'll point of distinction too, so that she doesn't feel that so that we're not misinterpreting what's being presented. And again, I trust that you'll correct me if I'm wrong, right?
What do
What?
I have to lie about?
Okay. So that the dancing around the circle, right? It could be the honest God truth. I really never took the time to think about it, and now I'm actually pausing and trying to retrospectively analyze it and put a label to it.
Okay.
Fair?
I accept that.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
There.
he's asking me questions that I've never considered either, so
There we
be
go.
fair.
There we go.
Okay.
But remember, as we're doing, this is difficult, guys. So when I'm seeing miscommunication on your end, I will pause and put it on track. So it's going to be
No,
messy, and
that's
that's okay.
good. That's what we need.
Okay. So you heard his question, right? About if he saw himself as your husband, right? In this time period that I'm inquiring about, so far you said, well, I saw it as he's my partner and I'm his partner, right? Did you see yourself as his wife? And okay.
No.
Now, is wife versus partner, I guess how far these two labels are from one another anyway.
For me, it's a big distinction.
Okay.
I've got, that's his title.
Okay.
That's his role. That's his respect, I guess. I can understand Jason's perspective of saying, that's the role that you have in my life. That's how I view you. But that's not a reflection of me, that's him.
Sure. Then, and the two people in the relation, they can have different, just because one person have one label doesn't mean the other one's going to have the same exact feeling or the same exact label. So distinction is important, right? So here's what gets tricky. I do think, saying wife versus partner is a significant distinction, but also there is a huge overlap between the label of being somebody's partner and being somebody else's wife. Would that be fair for me to say?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we cannot say that they're vastly different,
Yeah.
right? That there is a significant overlap and there is a distinction, to me, at the end of the day, of how significant that distinction, not just for you, but also for him too. Right? Because I think in real long lines, okay, I'll accept that you said I was not feeling his, I didn't see myself as his wife. He saw himself as my husband, but I didn't see myself as his wife, right? So along the line of, well, that's nice, but also partner is a big portion of being somebody else's wife.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that distinction is not special and unique. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair for you? Okay, great. Infatuation is a fast, intense attraction to someone that appears to possess some of the ideals that we value. Love is a deep state of affection toward those we have experienced over time with all of their strengths and flaws, both of which are powerful forces that can negatively influence our behavior and the choices we make. That one happened to the discovery. I'm still trying to get to that part.
Well, we fought and I ran and I wouldn't have gotten back in the truck with him if I'd had any choice in the matter, but I was still 12 hours from home and no cell service
In Idaho.
and well, we were in Montana at that point, but yeah, I wouldn't have gotten back in the truck with him. It was whatever. I mean, if you're gonna, and Ryan has always been offended for me. Ironically so, in my opinion, that he's offended for me that, well, he cheated on you. He lied to you. Well, yeah, he did. Like, he lied to me. And the thing is him and I worked through it because we had 12 hours in the truck. That was, this is Jason's word, that was the best thing that could have happened, was the fact that we still had 12 hours in the truck because we didn't just blow up and, if you can't be honest with me.
You couldn't escape the conflict either.
Yeah, no, we had to talk it out, and we talked through it, and it caused some issues with us. And then, when we got back to the truck, my phone had blown up because I left my phone in the truck because I didn't have service anyway. And Jason's phone, when we got back to the road, blew up because he actually did have service. And my dad had called looking for us, and Clay, his roommate, had called looking for us, and I'd missed like 6 phone calls from Ryan, and it was just like the end of the fucking world because I had been out of cell service for an hour. When I told him, hey, we're on the road, like, he had went off the rails, called my dad, who called the roommate because Dad and Jason and the roommate used to all work together.
Okay.
And just I'm not okay, freak out, freak out, freak out. And like when I finally got on the phone with him, you know, I was in a really rough spot. And it was just, where the hell have you been? What's going on? Why aren't you talking to me? You're hiding from me. Like, no, I was out of service. Nothing, you know, nothing bad happened. I was just out of service. I told you I was going to be out of service. Well, you haven't talked to me for 6 hours, and it had been 2.
Okay.
And I wasn't really equipped to deal with it at that point.
Okay.
And, you know, the whole next day it was really rough for Jason and I,
Okay.
the whole day and the whole trip. And then I got home at about 8:30 Monday night, and I just wanted out. I just wanted some semblance of safety. And I walked into the bedroom, and he started in on me of, how could you do that? I was so worried about you, just freaked out. And instead of me having that emotional safe space to just try and deal with some of that and try and talk about it with him, it was just, I'm not okay. Ryan is not okay right now, so I'm gonna freak out and you're gonna just deal with it. And it doesn't matter what's going on with you. So it kind of just reinforced the,
Like
shut up.
Yeah.
yeah, shut up. You don't matter. I need to freak out right now. And I didn't end up like not even telling him a whole lot about the trip. We didn't talk about hardly anything, because when I had come to him for that quiet and that safe space and this, I just need to feel okay again. You know, there was just,
Okay.
and Jason and I was still, you know, trying to figure out how to get back to Ryan and like, you understand me so well, help me figure this out, help me get through this problem. And like, we were talking on Facebook Messenger, and like I was sitting there with my back against the wall, and I was just typing this whole huge message, and it came out. It was why I don't feel like I'm, help me with this one, why I'm not worth it.
Why I've lost my voice.
We got to talking about it, and he noticed this big long text message of what are you two talking about?
Okay.
And it was a big deal for me, and I had deleted it. I'm like, hey, will you send that back to me? And I asked Jason to send it back to me from my perspective of why I don't feel like I'm worthy. I guess I don't think that's what it was about, but that's what I can remember. And
It's off my chest. With thoughts, smothering thoughts is another one.
no, it was a text message. It wasn't a.
But that event led to actually the two of you and Ryan having a conversation.
Yeah.
By the way, this has been going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is like, I told him that, and he was actually receptive to hearing, this is why I have these issues. This is why I don't feel like I'm worth it. Because this is the patterns in my life that I've noticed. This is the patterns in my life that I've been shown. This is why I don't feel like I'm worth it. And he actually heard me. He actually like listened to me. And it was like, okay, I don't want to lie anymore. I don't want to hide anymore. I don't want to have this
Sure.
secret, this thing. And I told him about it. I'm like, I've been in a really bad spot. I've been, feeling neglected, feeling left out, not, all of the shit that led up to it. And I told him about it, and he was like, he reacted really bad.
It broke the Senate Council to pick up.
And he was, later that night, and I told Jason, I texted Jason and I told him, because Ryan had Jason's phone number at that point. I'm like, if he calls you.
So, your point of view of the discovery, right? You know,
Well, there's so many thoughts in my head right
Okay.
at the moment. I was gonna leave. I was gonna open the fucking pickup door and throw her ass out, and I was leaving.
Okay.
That was the first thought that ran through my head.
Okay.
Second thought was Tyler.
Yeah.
What's this gonna do to Tyler? Because I'm not a very good dad. I flat admit it. I didn't have a very good dad, and I'm not a very good dad.
No,
There's a lot that I don't know.
no, I've heard her disagree with you. I'm just gonna say that for the record, but that's, yeah.
So it was, then it's, well, you love her, dumbass. What did you do wrong? How can you fix this? Can we fix this? I mean, it was such a succession between me breaking this in our council to,
Do you remember beating on me?
I do. I didn't,
That's the only way I can figure out how to describe it. It sounded better than hitting me because you didn't really hit me.
I had her wrapped up in my arms. I was sitting on the end of the bed, and I just broke down. And, like, I'm not physically abusive. I don't, would never even think of it.
Yeah.
And it just broke down. It was another one of those moments where it was like, is it worth it? Is it worth me failing? Is it worth us? Is it worth everything that she's putting us through? Is it worth it? And that was the thing that I was just so fucking mad at her. How dare you lie to me?
Because I couldn't tell you the truth.
How dare you string it out? How dare you bring the POS into our house and flaunt him in front of me? How dare you do that? How dare you continuously do this and flaunt him in front of me like it's one big ass game? Because she did. She, throughout this whole thing, she kept bringing him into the house. Play video games. Play this. Play that. Let's hang out. Play cards. So, how dare you treat me like that big of a piece of shit? And it was. To me, it was like a big ass game done. Oh, look what we can do behind his back. Oh, look what we can do to him. If I see Jason right now, for what we're still going through, it's not going to be pretty. If I see him in public, it's not going to be pretty. That's the feelings I have for the guy right now. That's the feelings that I have. I'm not a violent person. It takes a lot for me to go to violence. I'd much rather avoid it. There's a backstory to that one, but I was so crushed it wasn't even funny. And then she said, hey, let's go, let's get out, let's go to... And the thing is, she told me, like, not but days before our anniversary. Which, that's a great anniversary present right there. So we went to Yellowstone. And we talked. We didn't really talk about what had happened. We didn't really... And I thought in the back of my head, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Trying to make sure that I loved her. Like, truly, this was loving her, and I could still love her. Oh, I know. So I bought her, she'd forgotten her wedding ring. So I bought a neat little turquoise wedding band for her. She always wore a ring. And that was my haste, is okay. He pulled up into a neat little alcove up on the mountain. I proposed to her again. And that's my haste, is I shouldn't have done that again. because we didn't fix anything. We hadn't fixed anything. It was more like, hey, you still love her. You can make this work. As long as we start talking, start learning each other, we can make this work. Make it work. Make it work. And things were okay when we got home. Okay, being relative. And I told her, I go, he's got to go. No more talking to him, no more. He's just got to go. Period. It didn't even last 24 hours. And she...
Keep going. She'll get an opportunity.
So it didn't last any time at all. I might have jumped 24 hours. Forgive me. And we had she showed up on one of my oil locations. And she was bawling, and I go, I made the concession. I go, if it's friends, period, nothing else. If I find out you kissed him, if I find out it's that any farther, anymore, it's done. No more. Period. So she could breathe again, at least. And
Why did you agree to that?
because she doesn't have many friends. She doesn't have any really good friends. She's not.
I don't have anybody.
So I was like, you know what? Okay, she's going through a tough time, and I know how attached. So okay, if you can keep it strictly platonic. But the messages never stopped. They got worse. She still was hiding her phone. She still was getting out of the house whenever she needed. She was still going to Jason, still taking him places, still doing this, still doing that. And one day I got curious. Like, what the hell is she actually sharing with him? And I started going through her stuff. I admit, I did it. I was curious. I wanted to know what the hell. And the stuff that I found, the messages that I found, the memes and the hidden stuff that she had shared, the photos she had shared with him, I started printing them off.
No, that's new. The memes and stuff, that's new. So you want to...
Hold on.
No, this is everything on Messenger and all this stuff that I found that you'd shared with him.
Continue.
So I printed it all off. We had a fight, really good fight. And it ended up with me saying, no, I'm done.
What do you mean a good fight?
She stormed out the door. I said, I was angry. Oh, I was mad. I don't even know why. I wanted a divorce. And then I was curious. I'm like, what the hell has she been doing? And I started looking at all this stuff. And I started finding stuff. And it's like, you're not keeping this platonic at all.
Continue.
At all. I mean, that wasn't platonic to me. No, and then she said she's still kissing him. She still does.
Okay.
That's like my boundary there. No, that's not platonic. That's not us working on each other. So I blew up, and I had all this stuff printed out, and I have like his special coffee cups that he had built for her, and his special wine glass that he had built for her, and what else did I have? Our marriage blanket. That feels weird.
No, you threw that away.
Oh yeah, that was in by the garbage can, you're right. I had all this stuff just piled up on the bed. And I told her when she left I wanted the divorce, I was done.
Okay.
Because at that time, I was so over this, it's not even funny.
Okay. So what do you recall her response was when you said, I thought this is platonic, here's the evidence that's not platonic?
what she said. I was so mad. I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I don't.
I'll pause you. So please, inquire about what are things that need clarification on, as well as you tell me your side of that.
So we went on our little anniversary trip, and yeah, me telling you certainly had anything to do with the fact that it was that close to our anniversary.
I know.
Fuck you very much.
Okay. So I'll pause you here. Why this response to him?
Because it was apparently a point of contention for him that I did it. That was such a good anniversary present. It should have been. It should have been, hey, she's trusting me to handle this with her and walk forward with her and open up and be honest about everything that's going on and everything that was going on. There was a lot more to that conversation than, hey, I was fucking around on you, because that's not what it was at all. How many times did I tell you to just fucking commit me?
Now let me ask you this. Despite everything that you highlighted about, it took a lot of courage and effort on your part to share something that you know was going to be uncomfortable to admit to yourself, and as well as for him to hear, right? Because that's a big thing, because most people, they usually don't share that information. Like I said that yesterday, it's usually rare when that's come to the surface. Are you able to see that despite how valuable that is, that it would be extremely painful and hurtful for him to hear,
Yeah.
even though it has all this value?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's what this reaction to. Now, again, I understand that, yeah, it will be silly. Why would somebody would wait until anniversary? That'd be, crazy to say I'm going to choose this. That paints a picture of somebody who is malicious. And maybe that's what you're reacting to.
Yeah, it wasn't
That,
vindictive by any means. It was,
okay. Would you be able to accept that?
yeah.
Okay. And I bring it back to the whole thing when you mentioned is, the pain of the feeling of, well, why would you bring, somebody at home and break them at home? It's almost like, I'm being made a fool of. Now, I can understand the byproduct of what happened making you feel that way, right? Because it's hard not to feel that way. But also what I want to highlight is that even though that might have been the byproduct, that doesn't mean that was the intention.
No.
And it's important because what? Because for me, if I was in that position, aside from the infidelity itself, it would make a difference between somebody who is unfaithful versus unfaithful and malicious and vindictive, or somebody who is really, doing all of these things to hurt me. Now again, the consequence of that is hurt. Nobody's going to take that away from you. It's the intention. Do you see the difference?
Yeah. I had a suspicion something was going on today. That we were over playing video games, and she called him love right in front of me.
That really was an honest mistake.
Yeah. And she says it was an honest mistake, but it was a slip that you don't do that if you're not already calling him that.
I don't call him love.
And it was.
Okay, but why are we arguing about that part, whether or not you called him love? Because to me, one of the most important, even if you did not call him that, the feeling of loving was there.
Yeah.
Right?
It was an honest slip. We were sitting on the couch playing video games, and I said something to him. I'm like, "Oh, sorry, love." And that's his name. That's his title. I don't like.
Okay, that's the distinction.
Yeah,
Okay.
for me, that's his title.
Perfect. Okay, so I can see then why it's important to push for that part. But I'm saying in terms of in his end, regardless of whether that I'm reacting because this is my title, even if that's the honest mistake, is outside of the title, there was feelings that should have been for me and this other person is getting it.
Okay.
If it doesn't fit, push back.
Oh, I understand. I understand the
Okay.
logic behind it. It makes sense. It is important to me because there's no hierarchy to me. I love both of them dearly. I love both of them differently. but his name to me is love. I'll almost never call him by his name. When I call him by his name, he's in trouble and he knows it. It's, I that's the name that I picked for him because it was important to me for at the beginning of our relationship to find something that I had never called anybody. And, you know, a pet name that didn't drive me nuts because I was, my mom says babe, everybody's babe. And I still have that tick. Don't do that. Don't call me babe. I hate that.
And again, it is clear to me that these terminologies that you don't take lightly like the average person would, and they mean something to you, right? What I'm trying to highlight, and this is going to come later in our discussions, is that as much as that distinction is important to you, there is a part of this where it's not going to be as relevant for him. And I want the two of you to remember this part about I love them both the same, there is no hierarchy. Right? That's going to come in handy in our discussion later about what does this mean to everybody else. Because again, to me, what is the value of distinction and uniqueness if I'm special to you, if we're all on the same plane? Do you see where this could get dicey of, well, these are distinct and different and unique, but if they're at the same level and the other person expecting, no, I want something that nobody else has, brings us back to obstacle number one of what does this look like in the future. Did I lose you? Or are you following?
No, I'm tracking with you, and I sort of just backed myself into a corner with it, but that's not how I intended it. Like, there is distinction, but that doesn't mean that there's hierarchy.
When we listen to Maria describe the event that led to the discovery, we notice a few things. One, the double standard of honesty and taking offense for being lied to, when in fact she and Jason were being dishonest with Ryan. Two, the different rationalization she employed to minimize the impact and possibly sanction her relationship with Jason through the use of different titles for each one of them. Three, the introspection about the discovery of the infidelity and its impact was solely centered on Maria's and Jason's distress about the fight that they had and the consequences of discovery, rather than how it impacted Ryan. So something along the lines of, my emotional safety as Maria trumps your normal reaction to the discovery of betrayal. When we listen to Ryan describe his reaction to the discovery and how he handled it, we notice that his way of assessing what to do was superficial, brief, impulsive, and primarily motivated by feelings rather than a thorough cognitive analysis of the situation, which is really crucial to figure out how to heal from a traumatic event, similar to the one that they experienced because of the discovery. We also noticed that feeling bad for Maria's lack of friends compelled him to allow for more interactions with Jason under the false hope that she can maintain a platonic veneer that was never there in the first place. What I want you to keep in mind is the impact of Maria's exploration of a polyamorous identity on the need for multiple partners, on her ability to reset the boundaries with Jason, and follow through with the steps needed to properly heal from infidelity. Until then, be well, be safe, and embrace the possibility for a brighter future.